Lord Herbert Kitchener, a British general, came to India in 1902 as the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. He was one of the early owners of Wildflower Hall, now a famous and expensive hotel with Oberoi Group of Hotels in Shimla. Wildflower in the woods of sweet-smelling pine and cedar is located on Mahasu mountain range in Shimla along the well-known Hindustan-Tibet road which goes up to India-Tibet border. Today, Wildflower Hall has a Bavarian gabled architecture, but the original building was a rambling, glass-paned 19th century cottage. It was a favorite retreat of the British rulers and top functionaries of India, including Lord Ripon, Viceroy in 1880. Lord Kitchener was a highly decorated and a popular army officer in Britain. He had proved his mettle in Sudan and Boer War. He came to India to expand and consolidate the British interests. He took Wildflower Hall on lease and intended to use it as a retreat. His official residence as Commander-in-Chief was at Snowdon, which is now Indira Gandhi Medical College and Hospital. It was a grand place to live in. Kitchener had a long inning of conflict with his boss and Viceroy Lord Curzon on the issue of the control of armed forces in India. In this conflict, Lord Curzon came hurt and had to resign as Viceroy. Wildflower was responsible for a serious accident in the life of Lord Kitchener while he stayed in Shimla. To reach Wildflower Hall, which is 6 miles away from Shimla, one has to pass through a long tunnel bored in the mountain. It is called Dhali Tunnel at a locality called Dhali in Shimla. Edward J. Buck, author of the book Shimla Past and Present, informs that Major Briggs started construction of the tunnel in 1850 and the work was completed in the winter of 1851-52. It was a 560 feet long tunnel and it passed through solid rocks of the mountain. The authorities brought the convicts serving their sentences in different jails and deployed them on excavation work of the mountain and construction of a tunnel. The convicts worked hard on the order of Colonel Kennedy. Massive beams supported the roof and the sides of the tunnel. The tunnel was whitewashed to improve the light, but it was always very dim, even in the midday. In the evening, the tunnel was lit with half a dozen of lanterns attached to the side beams. After the monsoon, the whitewash disappeared and the tunnel became darker and damper. The tunnel connected the Viceroy's country residence at Mahasu or Charabra with the main Shimla town. It was perhaps the first tunnel ever constructed and opened for traffic for the public in India. During the construction, no casualty or accident occurred. The convicts enjoyed good health and none escaped from the custody of the police. Kitchener loved gardening a lot. Edward J. Buck says that the Commander-in-Chief was never happier than when improving the ground at Mahasu, Wildflower Hall. He deployed into services his staff like Saigs, Khidmatgars, coolies on whomsoever he could lay his hand on. But Kitchener was unhappy that the shrubs and the flowers did not grow fast because of the low temperature. One Sunday morning, Lord Kitchener informed his staff that he would not come to Wildflower Hall from his official residence at Snowdon. But he changed his mind and rode a horse to Wildflower Hall in the midday. In the evening, he saddled on his horse and moved back toward Shimla on a return journey. It was growing dark and the commander galloped the horse with dignity. He entered Dhali Tunnel. As he approached the center of the tunnel, he faced a coolie coming from the opposite direction. The coolie squeezed himself one side of the tunnel to allow the man on the horse to pass. Light in the tunnel was very dim. The coolie, giving sight to the man on the horse, moved a little and the horse shied slightly. But Lord Kitchener got his foot stuck or banged against the side beam of the tunnel. There was a sudden twist and wrench. Within second, the bones of Kitchener's leg above the ankle were broken. How the Lord managed to get off his horse is open to your imagination. The coolie saw the writing on the wall and scurried from there before anybody could identify him. The war hero who got the control of Sudan for the British lay down in the tunnel in pain. If the tunnel was damp and dark during Shimla's summer, its condition in November was horrible. For half an hour, the Lord of War lay there waiting for his rescue. The relief came to Herbert Kitchener from a European Mr. Jane, a rickshaw and some coolies. Kitchener rushed to a hospital in Shimla. Colonel Tate, in charge of the headquarters staff, and Major Clark and Green, civil surgeons of Shimla, attended the commander. The doctor found the break in his bones clean. The bones snapped without any symptom of compound fracture. The doctor operated the bones of Lord Kitchener. After this accident, the government doubled the width of the tunnel, whitewashed it, and provided electric lights at the cost of rupees 80,000. Edward Buck, the author on Shimla, narrates an interesting episode about Kitchener. Kitchener spent hundreds of pounds on the ground at Wildflower Hall, making gardens, slopes and terraces, but never a penny on the house. He dug up small forest trees in the summertime and transplanted them in dry weather. All the plants as a result died. Everybody told him not to do so, but he did not listen. Once all his khidmatgars went on a strike when he ordered them to work in the garden with him between the meals. This was the early days in his Indian career. Then he did not know that Indian servants will not perform tasks which did not fall within their spheres of duty. Kitchener, a bachelor at the age of 59, left Wildflower Hall in 1909 after 7 years of his tenure in India and sailed to England. In 1914, in the First World War, Kitchener would serve Britain as its war minister. A Swiss hotelier called Robert Hortz bought this property in 1909. He demolished it in 1925 and built it as a 3-story hotel. After independence, the central government took over the property and handed it down to Himachal Pradesh government to run it as an agriculture school. Thereafter, Tourism Development Corporation of Himachal Pradesh took it over in 1973 and ran this property, spread in 102 bighas of land like a hotel till 1993. That year, an electricity short circuit burned the building completely. Then Himachal government entered into a joint venture with Oberoi Group of Hotels and built Wildflower Hall as a luxury hotel. Thank you very much for watching. Jai Hind.